Do you ever find yourself drifting off into a fantasy world, playing out all manner of adventures and experiences? Are you a daydreamer, and have you ever wondered whether you could use your daydreaming for something useful? Well, in today's video, we're going to talk about how you can harness the power of your daydreams for manifesting. Hi everyone, it's Zila from Sky Garden Tarot, and today we are going to be talking about daydreaming and how to turn the very passive experience of daydreaming into something that you're using to actively and consciously create changes that you need to in your life. The APA, American Psychological Association, defines daydreaming as a waking fantasy or reverie in which wishes, expectations, and other potentialities are played out in imagination. Part of the stream of thoughts and images that occupy most of a person's waking hours, daydreams may be unbidden and apparently purposeless or simply fanciful thoughts, whether spontaneous or intentional. So, from that definition, one of the key characteristics of daydreaming is that it is something that it seems to be a very passive process, rather than, say, in contrast to visualization, which is a very conscious thing. Daydreaming is a very normal part of human experience, but it certainly can also be indulged into the extreme, to the point where it can become maladaptive, but that is a topic for another video. The first key thing to know about daydreaming is that there is a lot of very helpful and useful information hidden in daydreams. Daydreams can often represent the underlying dreams, wishes, and desires of an individual. I advise some serious daydream content analysis. There are a few ways that you can do this. One of the most powerful techniques that I have found for myself is through journaling. I like to keep a written record of my daydreams, and that means writing out what happened, what is the general theme of the daydream that you're dealing with. So for example, does it relate to maybe love and relationships? Or maybe it has something to do with career. Perhaps it has something to do with finding your life's purpose. Or maybe it has something to do with achieving a certain level of financial success or stability. Daydreams can also have very negative content material. For example, you may find yourself daydreaming about getting revenge. So this is why it is very important to do that content analysis. Firstly, to understand what is the general theme of your daydreams at this specific time, and also over extended periods of time. And secondly, to understand to what extent it would be healthy trying to bring these themes into reality in your life. So for example, revenge scenario daydreams would not necessarily be healthy bringing into real life. However, it could indicate that there are some underlying resentments that you have built up, and that it would be very beneficial to work through these resentments. So for daydreaming content analysis, there are a few things that I suggest. Keep a journal of your daydreams. Make specific note of what the main theme is coming up in your daydreams. Also, notice whether there are similar people who are repeating in your daydreams or certain scenarios, and over time pay attention to, are there patterns that you're seeing emerge in your daydreaming. I also find that it can be very beneficial doing some of this work with a qualified therapist or a spiritual healer of your choice. And you can also get the opinion and input of a trusted friend or confidant, because it is always important to check your thinking, check your logic, and always check your motives when it comes to daydreaming. During the time that you're doing the work of daydream content analysis, I also want you to be spending some time building mindfulness around your daydreaming behavior. This is firstly just a period of observation, so just observing when you're daydreaming. Start to make note again in real time, so not just after the fact when you're sitting down with your journal, but what am I daydreaming about? Again, what are the themes? But also, how much time are you spending daydreaming? And I think it's really important to be honest with yourself with the amount of time that you may be spending in daydreaming, because this relates to the next step that we're going to be talking about, which is when is it time to take action, and how can you start taking action around your daydreaming. I also advise some restraint during this period, so not taking any impulsive decisions, and also spending some time asking yourself some very difficult questions sometimes as to what extent this daydream that you may be having is feeding your soul, or maybe it is feeding the monster within. It really is a process of doing your due diligence on the subject matter of daydreaming before you jump right in to manifesting the content of your daydreams. So now that you've taken some time for daydream content analysis, as well as building mindfulness around your daydreaming behavior, you may very well be ready for the next step, which is taking action in the real world. At this point, ideally, you will have gone through this process where you have acknowledged what your true deepest desires are, and you've also worked through any kind of shadow that might be associated with those desires. So if we imagine your daydream as the somewhat seemingly unattainable ideal, then right now is the reality. And the next step involves creating a roadmap leading from the point where you are now to the point where you want to be. Each step towards that ideal should be a rational next step in the process. Keep some room open for the unexpected. At this point, I want you to ask yourself a few questions. Is there anything I can do right now in this point of time that would take me one step towards that ideal that I'm trying to bring about? And the next question is, are there areas that I might have resistance to changing, and why would I have that resistance? The energy of daydreaming has an air and water quality to it, so it's time to start bringing in more fire and earth energy into your life. And that means, firstly, when we talk about earth energy, that's action in the real world and groundedness, and really making sure that you're present in your physical body as much as possible. And secondly, fire energy, we want to bring in that passion and the idea that you can actually achieve what it is that you're setting out to. And it's also important to understand that often these things can be quite messy, in that it's not like you're going to be able to work always in a sequential, orderly manner. When you're noticing that you're catching yourself daydreaming, you can start changing your daydreaming to visualizations. So in a visualization, you're actually going to be seeing yourself taking the necessary steps to help your inner self and higher self believe that this possibility can become a reality, and to send out that communication to the universe that this is what you want. Really, the main difference between a daydream and visualization is the intention behind it. And whatever it is that you want to change and bring about in your life, know that I believe in you and that it is absolutely possible. And now I would love to hear from you. Do you tend to daydream quite a lot? Have you ever managed to bring about change in your life as a result of daydreams? Have you ever kept a daydreaming journal? If you have done any of these things, or if you have a different perspective on daydreaming, please let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you never miss a video from me. Thank you for watching.